Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're studying the productivity system of a company that didn't just brew beers. No, it's a company that built one of the most efficient global operations on the planet. Yes, and this company is AB InBev. This company started in Belgium and then expanded through the Americas and is nowadays represented in more than 50 countries worldwide with one mission in mind: brew better, faster, smarter and cleaner. But behind all those global breweries, those smarter processes and also the logistics network is a productivity system. A productivity system that is based on ownership, that is based on less waste and more efficiencies. That's why this video looks into 4 different aspects. Not only this video, but this and the next video looks into 4 aspects. First of all, of course, what is the productivity system of AB InBev? Then what are the benefits? Then it gets interesting as always, because then we talk about things that you could apply to your daily routine in order to use some of the tips that AB InBev is using. And last but not least, as always, very important, adjustments that you need to make before trying out anything that AB InBev does, so that you are, you know what comes next, unstoppable. Yes, then let's start right away with the very first point, which is about AB InBev's productivity system. AB InBev's productivity system is built on lean brewing, data-driven operations, and a culture where every employee acts like an owner. Here's how the company operates at a high level. Here we start with point number 1. AB InBev uses global standardization. Whether you're in Leuven, St. Louis, Sao Paulo, or Mexico City, the brewing steps are the same. Same quality checks, same fermentation controls, same packaging standards. Standardization creates consistency at massive scale. And that sounds obvious, right? If you have standard procedures, of course, then you can expect the same kind of output. You can make sure that no matter where you are, the quality is exactly the same. And that also can increase customer trust and reliability, because you know, no matter where you go, the quality, the output is completely the same style. And that's something interesting that you could also already take away for your own life. Think about what are the things that you could standardize in order to have the same kind of quality, no matter with whom you're talking about or with whom you're interacting. Not only talking, but with whom you're interacting. Point number 2, AB InBev eliminates waste relentlessly. In Belgian breweries like Leuven and Jupiler, water usage is monitored down to the liter. In US breweries like St. Louis and Newark, energy consumption is tracked in real time. In Brazil, bottling lines are optimized to reduce micro stoppages. Less waste equals more efficiency. And of course, I know it might sound very obvious, but if you think about using your resources more efficiently, then of course you don't have waste. And of course, again, taking care of waste, it takes more time, it takes more resources again to get rid of certain things. That's why here, AB InBev treats every resource as something very important. This means specifically whenever they work on something, instead of just producing something and hopefully that it's going to be efficiently done, no, they really look at each of the different aspects and look at what can be maximized, which kind of output can be maximized with the minimum resources available. That's an interesting thought, because instead of thinking that you have everything in abundance, you look at the items that you have and see how you can maximize the specific output. So next time when you're working on something, instead of using hours to prepare something amazing, outstanding, think about how can I use the time efficiently in order to get the best output possible. Then point number 3, AB InBev empowers frontline workers. Operators can stop the line if something looks off. Maintenance teams can intervene instantly. Brewers can adjust parameters without waiting for approval. Ownership is not a slogan, oh no, it is the operating system. Here we have it. This is another example, aside of Toyota, of a company that focuses on empowering their employees to come up with their own ideas, that empowers employees to think about what can be made better, empowers people as well in order to say stop if something is not according to the quality. So if maybe something didn't work along the line with the standardization, you still have the employees that can say, no, we need to stop. There's something off and we need to fix it right away. And of course, you can imagine by giving this more power to your employees, they in turn consider their work not just as work, as something you have to do. Oh no, instead they see it as if it's part of their own, as if it's their own company. Which brings me to the next point, point number 4. AB InBev uses digital brewing and real-time data. Sensors track temperature, pressure, flow rates, and energy usage. Dashboards show deviations instantly. Managers in Belgium can see the same KPIs as teams in the US or Colombia. Data replaces assumptions. That is super important, right? Instead of just thinking, okay, yes, I think we need to change this, maybe also this, it doesn't work. I have this impression, I have this feeling that it's not really working well. But no, not with AB InBev. Instead of having this intuition-based decision making, they look specifically at data. They look at data, how much material do we use for producing this and that product? How much time do we need for producing that? How much waste are we generating? And by tracing that, and actually one thing that is even more important as well, where do we have the largest customers? Where do customers love to drink our beverages? And the cool thing is, by looking at data specifically, they can see if something deviates as well. So then, for example, by looking at data, you can tell your frontline workers, hey, I think something is not really right here. Can you please check? And there you see already, it's a beautiful combination, a beautiful cooperation between data-related information, but also the intuitive part of the employees. Because first, maybe data might say, hey, I think something might not be right here. The KPIs are different than they usually are. So they could alert frontline workers to have a closer eye and see that everything works. Isn't that interesting? That you can use data specifically to see if something is aligned with what we need, something aligned with that is important for the brand, something that is aligned with the quality of the product itself. And by tracking this data globally and seeing that in one country it is the same as in the other country, already helps the company to be as efficient as possible. Point number 5, AB InBev builds high-performance logistics. What does it mean specifically? From Belgian distribution hubs to US long-haul networks to Brazil's dense urban routes, AB InBev optimizes truck loading, route planning, cold chain management, delivery timing. And logistics is not just treated as logistics. No, instead it is treated as a science. What does it tell us specifically? Because you not only brew the beer itself, no, they focus on also what happens, how the product goes to the customer, how the product goes to the supermarkets. Because if all of this is managed well enough, you can be sure that the quality of the product remains the same as to the moment it leaves the production line. That is really cool to know that, instead of just putting out your product and say, here you go, you figure it out how you're going to get it home. No, AB InBev really thinks about having a strong supply network so that the customer getting it from the supermarket or even getting it from home can have the same experience everywhere. That's something interesting as well. For example, in Latin America, in Brazil, there is a delivery system in place where the customer can order and within 30 minutes, they get the beers delivered to their home. Isn't that amazing that instead they think about how can you make the delivery, how can you make sure that during the process, during the logistics, the product arrives safely in a great condition at the customer's place. Then let's have a look at point number 6. AB InBev invests in continuous improvement. Every brewery runs Kaizen-style improvement cycles. Teams identify bottlenecks, engineers refine processes, and small improvements, they compound across continents. And this part ties in beautifully with the other part that we mentioned beforehand, that employees are empowered to take more ownership, to come up with own ideas. And by having this idea of continuous improvement, again, it's another way to empower, to encourage the employees to come up with ideas that are going to help the company to be more efficient, have less waste, have a better output, use the resources efficiently, or whatever could be the improvement about. And by having this mindset of small, tiny steps that might change the output, then the company, with every little small step, they're making improvements. And as you can see, AB InBev system is not chaotic, it is disciplined. data-driven, and built to scale globally. Isn't that interesting? When you look at AB InBev, you see it's all about using resources efficiently, having a great logistic networks, but also empowering the own employees to come up with ideas that are continuously improving the process. Which brings me already to the next part, where we look at what are the benefits. And the good thing is AB InBev system works because it aligns with the identity as a global, efficiency-obsessed brewing powerhouse. And that brings me already to the very first benefit, which is consistent quality worldwide. Stella Artois, brewed in Belgium, tastes like a Stella brewed in the US. Standardization makes quality predictable. And that's something what we already talked about, that standardization helps AB InBev to have those consistency across the globes. And especially when you're traveling and you go to a different country, you know specifically what you can expect when you order that beer. And because you already have the experience in the other country and you know it's going to taste the same way. And that's something really interesting that tells you that if you are consistent with the work you're doing, people know that no matter what kind of topic they ask you about, they know that there's going to be some great quality coming out of it. Then that brings me to benefit number 2, which is lower operational costs. Lean brewing reduces water, energy, and raw material waste. We had it before. Employees can think about different ways on how to improve certain aspects. And by thinking as to changing how you use the resources, by always looking at how can we use less water, how can we use less resources, but still have the same kind of quality output. That already shows that no matter what you're doing, you always aim for using the resources efficiently. And by using those resources efficiently, there's one big advantage. Of course, you need to purchase less, one aspect, but also the other thing is sometimes it costs extra money to get rid of some of the waste materials they're having. This means by being more efficient and using the resources, of course, you can reduce cost. Benefit number 3, empower teams. Frontline ownership accelerates problem solving. And we had it before. Whenever you see something maybe not be fully working, you can always come up with ideas and propose ways in order to, yes, make things more efficient. This ties in nicely with one of the examples we saw in Latin America, where customers can purchase on an app the private delivery, and within 30 minutes, the products get delivered to their home address. Isn't that incredible? This can be one great output of having employees come up with their own ideas, making suggestions, because you see what is specifically happening at each of the different steps. They can see with their own eyes, okay, maybe this approach is not the best way, but what about if we change it that way? Because again, those employees, they have the real experience rather than somebody else coming in and coming up with all of the ideas and improvements. No, you empower the person at the field specifically to come up with ideas that are going to help the company, of course, be more efficient. Benefit number 4, faster production cycles. Digital monitoring, it reduces downtime and increases throughput. As we heard before, the company standardizes each of the steps, but at the same time also digitally monitors how everything is going. And by knowing each of the different KPIs, you know, okay, at this point, this kind of parameters are needed. At that point, those parameters are needed. Then it's easier to, of course, see if something deviates, and immediately, poof, you can you can stop the production line and make adjustment necessary to make sure that you have the right quality. And that's something interesting to think about it. You know, instead of just having everything run, you think, okay, everything is okay, it's going smoothly. Instead, they check everything digitally in order to make sure that the product has the quality that they are standing for. Benefit number 5, scalable global operations. A process perfected in Belgium can be replicated in China, South Africa, or Mexico. That is the beauty about standardization, because you think about a process that can be used in one country, but not only in one country, in actually all of the 50 countries that AB InBev is represented. Isn't that amazing? You think about one process and think about how can it be used easily and the same way in all different locations, because you just develop that one specific process, and instead of sending it to the different countries and then adapt it accordingly, which will again use more time, resources, and whatsoever to make sure that you have this good output. But by standardizing, it can be easily rolled out in any of those 50 locations they have worldwide. As you can see, AB InBev's system is not about speed. It's about clarity, discipline, and global synchronization. And here we are already at the first part of AB InBev's productivity system. We looked at what is it specifically and what are the benefits. Now let me know in the comments which point you found the most interesting. And in the second part of the video, yes, it gets more interesting because we look at things that you could apply to your daily routine, not to run a digital or global brewing empire, no, but to apply some of the productivity hacks that AB InBev uses in order to make sure that you are unstoppable. And I look forward to hearing from you, and remember to subscribe to the channel so you can see more of those videos coming up. See you! In this video, we're not just studying the productivity company, the system, the product. Luisa, please put this into cuts. You got that! Woohoo! Luisa. How could be the employers, I give employees, not employers, and empowers.